everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from the winter wonderland that is Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist,
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, it's been 10 years since the atheist community lost one of its great voices.
One of the luminaries of just a fantastic curmudgeon.
Yes.
In Christopher Hitchens.
Yes.
We just passed the 10-year anniversary of his death. I'm sure all of the atheist podcasts that you listener listen to frequently are going to blather on about it, but so are we.
Yeah. And it's been 12 years since what?
Oral Roberts on the same day. Oral Roberts died on the same day as Christopher Hitchens.
American televangelist, if you don't know who he is.
Founder of ORU, Oral Roberts University.
In Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm
very familiar with it.
The man's name was Oral, spelled O-R-A-L.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he have a son named Anal? I would like to meet Anal Roberts. I think that would be pretty fun.
I don't think that ever happened.
I think it should have happened.
Anyway, Dan.
Yeah.
Are you familiar? Do you know who Babbo Natale is?
Yes.
Yes?
I mean, it's
Father Christmas.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah.
For Father Christmas, or what we would call Santa Claus.
Right.
In this country. Well,
either that or it's a pizza bread shell that you buy at the grocery store. A Babbo Natale, and you can just put whatever sauces and toppings you want.
That's not what it is.
Okay.
It sounds delicious, but no, that's not what it is. Let's set the scene.
Okay. Take me there.
Bunch of school children gather, waiting for the arrival of Babbo Natale.
Okay.
Right? Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Santa Claus is paying them a visit. These kids are this is taking place in Sicilia. I'm sorry, in Sicily.
I thought it was interesting that you didn't do Sicily, but you also didn't do Sicilia. You wanted to meet it halfway.
It's
a transatlantic version of that name.
In Sicily.
Yeah.
And all under the age of 9 or younger.
Sure.
Right. Just little kids, and they are excited because Santa Claus is going to be arriving on horseback. And obviously he's going to have his white beard and his red robe. And
Babbo Natale is a horseman in Italy?
Yeah, maybe.
They couldn't get a reindeer?
Well, the issue is that what's funny is it's also a very Americanized version of Babbo Natale.
Okay.
Right.
As it should be.
And,
all things American.
Well, first, before he arrives, the kids get to hear from the bishop, the local bishop.
Oh, God.
One Mr. Antonio Stagliano, who gets up and says, Santa Claus is an imaginary character.
Oh, my God.
The red color of his coat was chosen by Coca-Cola for advertising purposes. Big Soda, he says, uses the image to depict itself as an emblem of healthy values.
Wow.
And he continues to drone on against Babbo Natale. He denounces him as... one of the kids is upset and speaks up and tells the bishop that her parents have assured her that Santa is real.
She actually confronts him.
And he, in front of everybody, he says that she should tell her parents, you tell lies.
Wow. Damn, man. That is some hard, I get it. If I have to go to Disneyland, eventually I want to start kicking children, but I don't do it.
Do it. You don't. You let them have their fantasies. Just for, it's cute. Babbo Natale.
That is a
anyway.
cute, by the way, Babbo Natale is a very cute way of putting it because it's not Padre Natale. It's like, it's not Father Christmas. It's like
Papa.
It's like Papa Christmas.
Papa
it's like
Christmas.
Daddy Christmas.
Exactly.
That's really cute.
The bishop, I guess he misses the days when Italian children would address their wish lists to baby Jesus, not Santa Claus and the reindeer. And let's just go to the movies and go bowling and all this American junk, he says. Anyway, apparently this has been quite the deal in Italy of late. There's been this transition from the traditional, as the bishop is lamenting, of Jesus being central to Christmas, baby Jesus being central to Christmas, and then this Americanization, of course, of the holiday in the form of people's focus on the fun thing, which is Santa Claus.
I got real bad news for you, Father Padre. It's not gonna go your way.
No,
Americans are good at having fun. There's a lot we're not good at. There's a lot that we are desperately bad at. And it may be partly the fault of us being so good at having fun that we don't want to stop and like have serious thoughts about things or confront like, pandemics or whatever. Or societal ills.
No.
But let's be real here. We're going to have more fun than you're going to. We're going to take your dumb
stodgy
tradition. And then we're going to be like, "Oh, you know what we should do with this?" And we're going to make it better.
Yeah. Let's get Coca-Cola to redesign the whole outfit.
Right.
Which I'd never heard that theory. Do you think is the modern Santa Claus?
I mean, the modern Santa Claus was invented by a Coke ad. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was an ad campaign. It was a whole campaign.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I think red was already associated with Santa.
I would think so.
But I might be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I mean, far be it from me to counter the wisdom and knowledge of a Catholic priest. I would never,
especially when it comes to children.
Well, speaking of Christmas, I don't know if you can hear those sleigh bells ringling, tingling too, jingling. Anyway, 'tis the season for nativities. And you and I have spoken many times.
I love a good nativity.
Over the years about all of the problematic nativities in the world, all of the people who have, a nativity on the courthouse
I don't like those.
Or the state house.
Keep them where they belong.
Which is nowhere. Don't find, they're boring. It's so stupid.
No, a good nativity with live actors.
Yeah. And not just actors, just people standing there.
No, they're actors. It takes actors to pull off a good nativity. Otherwise, the expression they're not in the moment.
I feel like you're insulting my entire profession by saying that those people are actors.
I'm not saying they're good or professional actors, but maybe they're making some money.
Maybe. I'll tell you one of the things. So apparently there was you and I have actually been to Bonner Springs, Kansas. We stayed at our friend's house in Bonner Springs, Kansas.
Yes.
I won't out who it is because I don't know if he wants people to know where he lives. Anywho, hi, you know who you are. Anyway, there in Bonner Springs, there was a live nativity.
Oh.
And they didn't want just any old nativity. You got to go all out for it. Otherwise, you're insulting baby Jesus. I think we all know that. So they brought in a camel. Among other things.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. Camels don't like to stand just in one place necessarily for a long time.
Really?
And this homeboy broke loose and just went on a rampage. Not a rampage. A joyride.
Oh.
Just ran away.
Just left.
And he was just gone. They pursued on foot, but humans are slower than camels and could not get to him. Apparently, he traversed the K7 highway and was spotted by many drivers, but they couldn't get him. It was not until the next day And apparently, it was not unlike a scene out of a Goofy movie.
I'm sure.
Police chasing down this camel.
Did they taser the?
No. It was eventually just sort of cornered and lassoed.
Oh.
By an animal control officer, and then the rightful owner.
Where was this thing's handler?
Did
Did it arrive without a handler?
Yeah, you know what? After seeing 2 seasons of Tiger King, I am not shocked to learn that someone who owns an animal that does not belong in a place doesn't know shit about how to deal with that animal.
Oh, did they involve any other animals? There should be like some donkeys.
Yeah, I'm sure they had some donkeys, maybe a cow or 2 or something like that.
Okay.
But I mean, the camel's the star of the show.
Yeah, well, that's special. Like, where do you get it? How do you even like arrange for this?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing, actually.
This is not the first time this has happened in part, but it's the first time it's happened in Bonner Springs. It's not the first time it's happened in Kansas. Apparently, it happened in 2019 in Goddard, Kansas. There was a traveling a group consisting of a camel, a cow, and a donkey, and that camel also got away.
There must be better camel control.
No
systems.
Short of hiring a Bedouin, I think you're out of luck.
It would not ruin the illusion for me for there to be somebody on it to be mounted, right? On the camel.
Yeah, but then
right?
a camel just has to stand there with somebody on it. I don't know.
That's what they do. The ones that are like,
I just think don't involve animals. You know what I mean? Like, do what you want to humans, but don't fuck this. I object to this as a concept. Let the animals be.
Aww.
They don't want to do your stupid nativity. They don't want to.
They do.
They don't.
Maybe the camel doesn't, but
they don't.
Cows.
They don't even believe in Jeebus.
Well, somebody needs to explain it.
And I'm not the only one. Of course, PETA objects too.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but they object.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But this does, and back.
And I don't know how the camel's being handled. I don't know anything about it.
I just don't think, I guarantee you, whatever ding dong in Kansas owns these camels, the camels are not treated correctly.
Yeah, that's probably true. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then yes, I object to.
Yeah. I
do not. I'm not for the mistreatment. But I don't think just having a camel in a show or something is mistreating it.
I think having almost anything in a show is mistreating it. I'm just kidding. All right. There was a camel that went off a stage once in 2010.
Oh no, that's no good.
At a nativity play at the First Baptist Church in West Palm Beach. It literally like slipped off the stage with somebody on it.
Gee,
and they both went tumbling towards the audience. Everybody was fine.
Wow.
There was another camel that broke free in 97 that actually got killed in traffic.
Do you have any more?
No, I think I'm stopping there. That one was in Kent Island, Maryland.
No.
Yeah. Don't put camels in your show, everybody.
They don't like it. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
We have an update about America. And
the way you said that made it sound like it was in scare quotes or something.
America. No, and the rise of the nuns. The nuns being those who check the box of basically none of the above for which religion do you belong to.
No affiliation.
Exactly.
No religious affiliation. Thank you very much.
None. N-O-N-E-S.
Yes.
If you've never heard of it, which if you've listened to this show at all, you've heard of it.
You know we ain't talking about Sally Field.
Yeah. Literally the rise of at least one nun.
The flying nun.
That's pretty good reference and joke.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
That's some comedy for you. A little humor. I'm waving.
Anyway, new numbers out from Pew. Apparently, the nuns, of which atheists are a part.
Yes. That would include atheists, agnostics, nothing in particulars.
Spiritual, but not religious.
Those wafflers.
Now, this group to which we belong now makes up 29% of U.S. adults.
29.
29. That's up from 23% in just 5 years.
Yeah.
Since 2016. And in 5 years before that, the number was around 19%.
That's, you know what? Because you reported on a thing a while back, a few months ago, several months ago, that seemed to be indicating a slowing of the secularization of America.
Mm-hmm. This
doesn't seem to indicate that.
Yeah.
That is a dramatic.
With these numbers, it is quite possible that unaffiliated people, the nuns, could quite possibly be the largest religious group in the country.
There you go.
Unaffiliated people outnumber any affiliated
single
group.
Affiliation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
which is amazing. I think that's unbelievable to me. Anyway, there was another little survey that went out this was from the Associated Press and NORC, NORC.
Yeah,
NORC Center.
NORC. Everybody knows NORC.
Yeah, I love the NORC Center. The NORC Center for Public Affairs Research. They kind of did a breakdown of the non-religious folk in America. And they find that 30% still hold a slight connection to a higher power, with 19% saying that religion is still somewhat important to them despite their own personal beliefs, which is interesting.
I mean, I get it. Like, especially if you were raised religious, leaving is a process. It's not an absolute thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Let's see. Nearly 60% of nuns say religion was at least somewhat important to their families when they were growing up.
Sure.
Around 30% of nuns meditate. 26% pray privately at least a few times a month.
Okay.
Interesting. Stop doing that.
Yeah, cut it out. You can meditate, but we're not going to stand for any of this
this
prayer to I don't know who.
Crap. No way. And the growth of the nuns, this won't come as a surprise, I don't think. The growth of the nuns has come largely at the expense of the Protestant population.
Yeah, I mean, which is the majority of the Christians in America. Right. I saw that same poll, that Pew poll, and was equally surprised to learn at the number, the diminishing number of people who are self-proclaiming themselves Christian.
Oh, wow.
Because the percent of Christians is down well below 70 now. It's just,
wow.
It's like 63%, I think.
Oh, this one doesn't have that. It just talks about Protestants being down to 40% from 50% a decade ago.
Yeah, 63%.
That's a quick decline.
Yeah.
For the Protestants and Christianity.
And Christianity as a whole.
Well, I mean, I remember growing up, like, boy, howdy, if you said something like, well, I'm not Christian, it would have been like, what?
Yeah.
Then what are you
if
you're not Christian? Right?
I think our neighbor's a damn Muslim.
And now, like, I would just as readily say to somebody, I'm not Christian, as the reason why you shouldn't say Merry Christmas.
Right.
As I would be like, oh, I'm atheist. Right. I think it's almost more provocative in a way to be like, I'm not Christian, because it leaves like this space of like, well, who are you? What are you?
You're one of them Hare Krishnas? What's going on here?
Because clearly, if you're not Christian, what are you?
What are you?
Yeah.
Satan worshiper.
That's what they think.
Yeah. It's a bit nutty. Well, I'm going to take us to a lawsuit. This is a religious discrimination lawsuit. So, we talk about those kinds of things a lot, but I rarely see it from this angle. A fellow by the name of Brad Amos is suing a former employer for religious discrimination. The former employer is hyper-Christian finance guru Dave Ramsey.
Really?
Who has been a complete nut job throughout this entire pandemic. He's kind of made a name for himself by he's got a radio show and he's got all these things and he purports to give sound, fundamental financial advice from a Christian perspective.
Which, I don't know. Why does it have to be from a Christian
It
perspective?
doesn't make any sense.
Money's money. Like,
It's like this is sound cooking advice that takes place at a zoo. It doesn't mean anything. It's you're adding an element that doesn't belong in that thing.
except for the fact that he's going to be like, now be sure that you give a percentage to your church.
You got to make sure that 10% of your gross income goes to your church or to me, whichever one you prefer. Anywho, he has run his organization like it's been a dictatorship, a religious dictatorship, a theocracy.
Oh yeah.
It used to be on, what is it? Forbes did a list of best places to work or whatever, and they used to be on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh no, Fortune. It was Fortune magazine's best places to work.
How did he get? How big is his organization?
It's very big.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's quite large.
Okay.
He's got a whole media empire thing happening.
Okay.
However, this Brad Amos fellow, I think he's a editor. I want to say
Like video editor.
video editor.
Okay.
He wanted to work from home, which video editors can totally do
Totally reasonable.
because Ramsey wouldn't allow anyone to have masks in his environment, anyone to be vaccinated. Like, I mean, I don't know that he could have stopped anyone from being vaccinated, but basically what the claim inside the organization was that if you took precautions against COVID-19, you didn't have faith. And faith is necessary to work there.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this suit alleges that the environment is cult-like at this place, and they're alleging that it violates his sincerely held religious belief that he should be allowed to protect his family from COVID-19.
Yeah.
From a deadly fucking virus that everyone in the office is obviously going to get at some point.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So,
Well, no. Only if they don't have faith, though.
Only if they don't have faith.
I mean, that's also how Dave Ramsey can weed everybody out.
Right?
The faithless. Right?
Yeah.
Don't. You didn't believe enough.
Ramsey's had a lot of lawsuits lately, including one from a woman named Caitlin O'Connor, who was claiming discrimination because I think we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
She was pregnant and then and out of wedlock, and apparently that runs afoul of Ramsey's fucking mission statement or whatever. Their employee handbooks as we get to decide how much, when you get to fuck. Jesus. And so they fired her. And then Ramsey also is in a lawsuit with Marriott hotels because he was going to have a conference at a Marriott and relocated after Marriott decided that guests would be wearing masks, like, responsible people.
So where is it now?
Somewhere else, but he's getting sued because it's a
breach of contract.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Yee.
Well, all right. Well, I'm going to take us up to South Dakota
for
our next story.
That's the southernmost of all the Dakotas.
Yes, exactly. Governor Kristi Noem. She sounds like quite the character.
Well, I would trust South Dakota to elect a character for their governor. That's for sure.
Anyway, one of her campaign promises was to bring prayer back into the schools. She's gonna do it. This is happening.
I'll bet there's a neighbor to the east of South Dakota that there's some Wisconsinites who might have something to say about that.
Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, that's where the FOFURF is located, everybody. That's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation is.
Thank you. Obviously, some government lawyers informed her that that's not happening.
Right,
Governor. That's
even in South Dakota.
Yeah,
somebody there knows you can't do that.
So she has had some legislation drafted up that would require a moment of silence to begin each school day Well, and the legislation is clear that the moment should not be interpreted as a religious exercise. Right? They're clear here. This is not about religion. It's about a minute of silence, of reflection.
Which,
right?
use
it how you will.
Listen, young children are really good at being quiet and still for a fucking minute.
Oh, yeah.
That's great for them.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
But she's issued a statement that says that the measure is meant to, quote, restore protections for prayer in schools.
Guess what? There never weren't protections for prayer in schools. If kids want to pray quietly to themselves, nobody's ever stopped them.
But this is a moment that the schools are going to be required to set aside every day so that every student deserves the opportunity to begin their day with a calm, silent moment, she says in a statement. I hope students will take this opportunity to say a quick prayer or reflect on their upcoming day. Okay, so anyway, the moment of silence can last up to 1 minute. Both students and teachers may use the time as they wish. They can include, this could include voluntary prayer, reflection, meditation, or other quiet, respectful activities. Let's see what else does it say.
As long as the kid says "Hail Satan" at the end of it, I'm fine.
Let's see so this is in the draft bill. It says the legislature of South Dakota finds that school children and teachers are best served by a moment of silence at the start of every day to afford them a reprieve from the frenzy of daily life and to set a tone of decorum that will be conducive to learning. All of this sounds like it's totally going to work and that grades are going to go up.
Right.
And learning is going to shoot through the roof in South Dakota. Watch out, everybody. South Dakota has just fixed a public school system.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. Yeah, because what kids want to do, prayer is not going. Oh God, can you? As a former ADHD kid in school, I can tell you that a minute of silence every day would just be just torture.
Yeah,
just absolute torture.
They should just turn it into a daily fluoride rinse, right?
They used to do that,
right? Like they have the little cups.
Oh my God.
Swish for a minute.
They never did that at my school, but I remember going to I was visiting my grandmother and she took me to the school that she taught at or something.
Oh, okay.
And they brought in cups of mouthwash and I was just like, the fuck is going on? Does this place just have really bad breath or something? What is happening?
Yeah, that was my school too.
Interesting.
Yep.
We're old. We have heard a million times over it's so much that we've heard this trope that we don't even report on it usually anymore, which is the trope of the preacher claiming that X or Y weather phenomenon, be it a hurricane, a tsunami, a tornado, whatever, is God's judgment for the sins of America or God. There's lesbians in New Orleans, so Hurricane Katrina came or whatever.
Is somebody already saying something about Kentucky?
No. But the tornadoes did destroy Greg Locke's church.
Oh, oh no! That's delicious.
That stupid circus tent.
I hope nobody was hurt.
That big top.
I hope nobody was hurt.
No, it wasn't
that one.
It wasn't on a Sunday.
Oh, the whole thing though. I mean, we can't even bring it up and laugh without it is a desperate, unbelievable,
and unprecedented weather for wintertime. Go ahead and deny global warming now that there are snow tornadoes.
Yeah,
but
in all of that,
if Greg Locke had heard about a tornado hitting anything that he didn't like, that next Sunday would have been an hour devoted to how God's judgment had come down on that blah, blah, blah. So far, he hasn't condemned himself in this manner. But yeah, he's claiming it's at least $100,000 worth of damage, including, big screens and, sound equipment. And
100,000, that seems like not a lot of damage.
Well, it wasn't much. It was a fucking tent.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
It was just a big top.
That's right.
It's literally the circus. And yeah, I'm very glad that, trust me, our hearts go out to all of our Midwest listeners.
Seriously.
Anyone who was affected by these tornadoes, that is obviously a tragedy.
Yeah.
But there's no tragedy in Greg Locke losing his shit.
No.
I'm sure he's insured, and I'm sure it's going to, he's not going to be hurt. And he's
no, he'll be raking in more money. That's how this works.
Yeah.
You're right. He's insured. Yeah. On top of that, they're going to use it as a fundraising opportunity.
Absolutely.
We have to replace all this stuff.
Right. Yeah. They're going to pretend like they're not insured. Mm-hmm. We got to build up stronger than ever. Mm-hmm. And he has not missed an opportunity to make himself a martyr in all of this and to show how. Yeah.
Well, this is the devil's hand.
Right.
This one.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't the Lord.
Normally
it's amazing how easy it is for them to figure out when it's the Lord and when it's the devil.
Yeah. It seems to always line up in a specific way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know. I took a little delight in that, I must admit. Sorry, Greggy.
Oh.
So there you go. Anyway, if you were affected by tornadoes, did you also see the thing? There was another amazing post. I almost went into our next segment, but I'm not ready to stop talking about the tornado thing yet, because there was a post that went around on Facebook and other places. There was an image of a church that had the entire, more than half of the roof ripped right off of it. It was destroyed. Mm-hmm. And the caption was something about praising God because none of the Bibles or hymnals had even been moved. It was like, dude, your church is wrecked.
Silver linings, Dan.
You don't get to claim triumph over the tornado because the books are there. What are you talking about?
Oh, and in a total loss. Oh, he left us the foundation. We can build again.
Look at that. Yes, everything else is gone, but the concrete stood.
The Lord wants us to rebuild.
Oh, God. All right. Well, if you have stories about tornadoes or crazy weather that you'd like to send to us, feel free to do it. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We have some correspondence coming right up.
Well, Frank, we had some folks write into us, call into the show.
But first, we need to listen to a little clip of audio.
Sure, we got to do that. How long have I been doing this show? I don't know what order we do everything in. Fine. Yeah. Yes.
We have to listen to a lunatic.
We have to listen.
That always comes first, Dan.
The lunacy is first. Right. Correct. All right. So this is Sam Sorbo, who is Kevin Sorbo's wife. Now, if you don't know who Kevin Sorbo was Hercules on a series back in the 90s, and is now a quote unquote actor, but all he does is shows that turn up on god awful movies.
Okay,
he does. He was in God's Not Dead, and a whole bunch of he's a Christian fanatic, and he just does the Christian movies. Anyway, this is his wife. I've never heard of her until now, but apparently she is making the rounds. She's exploding onto the Christian scene.
Oh, good.
And
they need more people.
She has some shit to say about edumacation, and this is what she has to say.
Education is the 3 F's: faith, family, and freedom. And there's only one way for them to get that, and that's to be with their parents. And so I'll say this. Evolution doesn't give a crap about equality. Evolution believes in inequality, okay? If you're teaching your child evolution, you're teaching them slavery and inequality. And now God is calling the remnant to fight. And fight for what? For freedom, because Jesus Christ is the author of our freedom. And evolution has nothing to do with that.
I can see why she's exploding.
You can't argue with her logic.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When a person doesn't bring logic to the table, there's nothing to argue with. So, but no, I do love the idea that evolution teaches slavery. I kind of think that's actually, you should read your book before you talk about which one teaches slavery.
Yeah.
That's kind of your thing.
Like full on condones it and has like rules about it.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So, Jesus himself talking about how you're supposed to treat your slaves. Not don't have them, just what to do with them.
Yeah. Wow.
Yikes.
Boy. Mentions by name with rules.
Yeah.
And evolution, strangely
silent on the issue.
Yeah.
Evolution, by the way, is not a book. I don't know if she knows this. Evolution is not a text. It's more of a concept. It's more of a anyway. Let's get to you tried to talk me out of getting to our correspondence before, but I say we do it.
Just in the correct order.
Okay.
That's all I was saying.
All right. Last week's show really touched a nerve. We talked a lot about the grieving process as atheists.
Well, and I just want to thank people because there were so many wonderful, nice emails that came in. People sharing their stories,
emails, voicemails. People really wanted to share their stories with us, and it was quite lovely.
Yeah.
We can't get to everybody. So sorry about that. But let's do a smattering, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
This one's from August, who writes, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I started listening to your podcast just over a year ago, and I wanted to thank you for everything you do. Frank, I'm so sorry for the loss of your dog.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a very similar situation at the end of 2019 with my cat, Sass.
Mm-hmm.
She was my first cat, and even now the loss is an ache in my chest. Obviously, my religious family members pushed the whole 'you'll see them again' stuff, and of course, it fell flat. The one thing that really helped me came from a coworker. He told me that he never knew what to say when someone was grieving other than that, quote, 'I see you. I may not know exactly what you're going through or how much this person or pet meant to you, but I see your grief and I will be here for you through it.' I just thought that was really nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, August. And Afton wrote in to say, hey, fellas. Oh, Afton. 3 months ago, my fiance passed away. He was only 34 years old. 4 weeks after that, I had to put his dog down. Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
The dog was 15 years old, couldn't see or hear, and was incontinent. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my 33 years, but it was for the best. It sounds like that's true. There have been so many times over these last few months that I wished I had a God to turn to. So many times I wished that I had an angel looking down on me and protecting me. Then logic takes back over, and I remember that there is no magic sky daddy with minions watching over every move. That's when I turn to my friends and family for support. They are the ones that hold my hand and listen when I need to talk or cry. I could not have made it through this without them. I had the dog cremated, and just this weekend went to bury his ashes with my fiancé. That's so sweet. We dug a small hole at the grave and poured the ashes in it. The vet clinic included a lovely, thankfully secular poem, and I read it aloud while my fiance's mom filled in the hole. It felt nice to have some sort of ritual without bringing God into the mix. It brought a smile to my face despite the awful circumstances. Anyway, that's lovely. That is yeah. I mean, and we talked about making your own rituals.
Absolutely.
I think that
how
is
important that is.
a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
If it helps you.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't help you, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about being not tied down to dogma. You can just figure out what the fuck helps you.
Yeah.
Should we play a voicemail?
Yes, we have a voicemail from a listener who shares something that helped them along the road of grieving.
Yeah.
Hi, Frank and Dan. This is Em from California. I just listened to your recent episode on grieving, and something that I found really helpful for me with my last grieving experience was the death positivity movement. I'm already interested in like morbid stuff, but this is a non-religious movement where you basically ask all the questions that you wanted to ask about death. It destigmatizes death and the grieving process. Specifically, the like, hey, congrats, you made it, you died, kind of sentiment was part of that. And that really helped me, and maybe it will help other people as well. So I thought I would share. Thanks for all that you do. Bye.
Well, you know, Frank, I had never heard of death positivity as a movement. So I did Google it, and it's actually very interesting. There are a couple of, I was just looking at sort of some of the tenets of the movement, and they're nice. I agree. I mean, it's things like the notion that hiding death and keeping it all behind closed doors does harm to society. It's things like, I believe that talking about and engaging with my inevitable death is not morbid, but displays a natural curiosity about the human condition. It says, I believe that the dead body is not dangerous and that everyone should be empowered, should they wish to be involved in care for their own dead. I do like the idea of taking the stigma off of death. It's such an important thing. It's something that affects us all deeply.
Yeah.
Many stages in our lives.
Yeah.
And the religions especially teach people not to talk about it, or like you can only talk about it in our terms, in our way.
Right. Which is not really talking about it.
Which is not really talking about it. It's talking about the fantasy that they've created.
Right.
Instead of talking about my real life issue right now on the ground. I live here. This person, this thing that I love is gone.
Or just facing your own.
Or I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? And how do I even process that?
Yeah.
And we don't do that in our society. And that's stupid. It's like this huge thing that we all have to face. And most people face it kind of alone.
Yeah.
Without help, without anyone to talk to about it. That's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and everybody, like, people end up being, a lot of people end up being very uncomfortable. I know, well,
we've been taught to be uncomfortable.
I've felt that, right?
Yeah.
Like, someone has a loved one that's passed, and it's uncomfortable to acknowledge it, even in the thing that you have to do, which is say, I'm so sorry for your loss. But even that, it's like, for me, it's like building up this like almost courage just to say that.
Yeah.
And that's rough, right? Because we don't, because we haven't talked about it, because we don't process it enough, we don't even know how to handle it.
We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We just follow whatever tradition is happening and hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's dumb. So I agree with that. I'll read one more email. This is from Caroline, who writes, "Hi, Frank and Dan. I'm a vet," that's veterinarian, not army, in the UK, and was interested to hear about your thoughts on the death of pets, cremation, etc. It's a topic I think a lot about, and obviously people vary a lot in their beliefs about animals and the afterlife. A very common thing for people to say is that they have gone over the rainbow bridge, which is weird, but I just go along with whatever they need in that moment. On the subject of cremation, I worry that people feel that they want to pay for individual cremation, or that they would be judged for not caring enough. I don't want to influence people, but always say it's an individual thing that gives some people a lot of comfort. But for me, getting a good photo printed feels better. Anyhow, I love your show. The first atheist podcast I ever listened to, and the best. Oh, that's sweet. I like that you have compassion for people who still believe in a deity, but also point out where people are harming others by pushing harmful beliefs, and all with a sense of humor. And also Miss Caroline has become a patron.
Oh, nice.
So I wanted to lead into this next section by saying, Caroline, you wacky veterinarian, you now get magic powers.
Ooh.
So Caroline has now made herself a little calculation because it's different on PayPal. We'll say you're a teacher.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's fancy.
That's pretty good.
Thank you so much. You now have the priesthood bestowed upon you, and also John is a teacher over on PayPal, and so John, you also have those amazing superpowers that we have the power to bestow upon you. So
good.
Peace be upon the two of you. And are there any other people to thank?
There are indeed, Dan. We've got actually 2 new patrons.
Okay.
On Patreon. We have we have 2 new priests. We got Linda and Joshua.
Amazing. Thank you so much, both of you. Magic powers, great. Blah, blah, blah. It's fantastic.
And what these kind folk did, Dan, they went over to our website, thankgodimatheist.com.
Easy enough to find.
And clicked on the support tab, and then there's options.
Yeah.
You can go the PayPal route. You can go over to Patreon.
You can
both
do whatever
help
you
us, continue to do the show. And we thank you so much for the support. And as always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Demonium. Thanks, guys. There's more show coming up. Dan.
Yes, Frank.
It's an anniversary
Yeah.
of sorts. Not a fun one.
It's cancer's a bitch.
Yeah.
And from us took a delightful voice
Yeah.
in the world, one Christopher Hitchens.
Never shied away from speaking his mind.
No. It was always clear what he was thinking, and I appreciate that about the man. He was not one to pussyfoot or mask anything.
Yeah.
Those of you who know his work can sort of smile along with us.
Mm.
And look, I didn't agree with him about everything. There was stuff that I disagreed with him about. Not to like Dawkins levels, where it's like, he's denying the humanity of entire swaths of people. But Hitchens was incisive in a way that if you haven't seen him, like if you haven't seen one of his debates on YouTube or whatever, you gotta go look it up, because it's one of those things where, I mean, he had that wonderful British accent that certain insults can only be delivered if you have that
specific
public school style British accent.
Right.
It is unparalleled for the kind of beatdowns that he would deliver. But but the truth is that, insults aside, accent aside, he cut through bullshit like nobody else I've ever seen. He just we're all indoctrinated into a whole bunch of bullshit in our societies, and not just religious, but like the way we talk about religion and stuff. And religion has benefited from this in the sense that they get away with saying whatever the fuck, like crazy things. And then Christopher Hitchens would come along and just go, "Oh no, that's a crazy thing that you just said."
Yeah.
And we all shake our heads and go, "Wait, what?" And then he'd say it back and say, "Here's what you just said." And then the whole world would go, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It was he had a way about him of just taking things that were supposed to be sacred and saying, why? Why is that sacred?
Yeah.
And by the way, that's awful what you just said.
Yeah. Well, and God is Not Great. Probably one of the first atheist books I really read.
Yeah.
And that was his.
Yeah.
And
I'm rereading it right now.
oh, are you?
Yeah.
I should probably do the same, actually.
It's just one of those things where it's like, and I'm actually listening to it, and he was the one that recorded it.
Really?
And so it's like, it's got that. I mean, trust me, on the page, you still hear his voice. It doesn't feel, it doesn't feel much different, but yeah, it's.
But no, that was a big part of a lot of the deprogramming for me was that book.
Yeah.
Was kind of just thinking, because if I remember correctly, it's broken down into various different topics. And then he goes through and he just kind of dissects it and argues against whatever. And
yeah,
and
I mean,
whatnot. And it was just, it was so powerful to hear somebody speak so clearly and so effectively against religion and against God and against belief and just the dogmas and it was huge.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching a video of him in a debate, and I think a rabbi was calling him on the carpet for insulting the practice of circumcision and saying, you know what, this is, how dare you take this beautiful thing to us, this important sacrament to us, and sully it, this harmless thing that is blah, blah, blah. And he just, not only did he not apologize, he eviscerated the guy. Because obviously it is harmful, and there's a lot of harm that comes from it. Yeah. And he went all the way with it. He just didn't know how to pull a punch.
Right. I called it a monstrous act and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And
I mean, that was the thing. Like, he went after like a lot of the sacred cows.
Yeah.
The things you just cannot politely, denounce or go after. Mother Teresa being one that immediately springs to mind.
Absolutely. He was the guy that kind of broke the story that she was actually a monster.
Yeah.
That she was like, her way of quote unquote helping wasn't.
Yeah.
And that, in God Is Not Great, he talks about how she showed up to Ireland because they were trying to make it legal. Was it abortion? No, it was divorce. Anyway, one of these issues that should be super easy.
Right.
It might have been divorce or some, an issue like that.
The Catholics have a position on.
It was divorce. And here's what, and I remember why I remember it now. So she shows up, she denounces the idea that divorce should be made legal in Ireland. Just shits all over it. And then he points out a few months later, she publicly expresses support for her friend Princess Diana and hopes that she does well now that she's free of this uncomfortable marriage.
Oh, wow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Isn't that interesting?
Right. Because when it's poor people, it's different than when it's wealthy, important people.
Who donate to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that bring attention to her and that.
Yeah. Because one thing she was good at is raising money.
Yeah.
She did not disperse it among the poor, of course, or,
by medicine.
She did. Yeah. She didn't give like
in her
comfort and aid to the people.
She claimed.
She just let them suffer.
Yeah.
And Hitchens was a singular voice in calling that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the rest of us, now we all do it. Now it's hip. All of us atheist podcasters are, it's easy for us now. He paved that way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't read God's Not Great, you gotta. And also just note the subtitle, which is How Religion Poisons Everything.
Yeah.
And he makes a damned fine argument for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
oh, golly. Well, that book is currently boxed up somewhere.
Yes. You still haven't moved back home from the flood yet.
I'm still in temporary housing. So as soon as I'm back home, I'm going to have to get that one out.
You're driving a lot more now. Just dial it up on the old Audible.
I don't even know how that works. How do you do this? Is it an app?
I'll show them later, guys. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
So that goes onto my phone?
It's
Wow.
it's like a Twitter.
Okay. Do I have to hold the phone up? Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. Hitchens was amazing. Go watch go grab a whiskey in his honor and watch him hitch slap the crap out of somebody on the YouTubes. I miss him. I wish we had a voice like that.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully someone else will rise up. Anyway, if you have a favorite hitch slap that you'd like to tell us about, feel free to write into us podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Hey, go to the Facebook page, would you? Facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button. It's fun.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so by going to our website.
Ooh.
thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
There you go. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of the fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.